Delulu is the only solulu. When I heard this, the first thing that I of course did was Google it. Because what on earth is Delulu and why is it the only solulu? And when I got to know the meaning, I was flabbergasted. More so because it was the opposite of what I believed in and what I thought was the right way to understand your problems. And I know for all of you are still waiting for me to explain this line to you and giving me the same confused look that I gave on that day. Delulu is the only solulu simply means delusion is the only solution. My dear friends, faculty members, esteemed speakers, and the beautiful world of internet, I am Sagar Makhwana, and I am going to take an effort to refute this line. Delulu is the only solulu. Possibly backed with some solid logic, because why not? To start with that, let me share with you a small story. When I lost my father at the age of 30, I probably learned the biggest lesson of my life. No, the lesson wasn't that life is always unfair and that I should move on. No, the lesson wasn't that I need to be strong. No, the lesson wasn't that my father had left me a lifetime of memories and that I should cherish them. The lesson, believe it or not, was on how quickly people can make you feel worthless. The first thing that accompanied my father's loss was a wave of sympathy. People telling me how I didn't deserve to be left alone at this age. People telling me that life was plain cruel to make me and my family go through this ordeal. Words that I thought were comforting, words that I now realize actually meant nothing. I quickly understood that the world is not going to stop for me and that I needed to move on. So I tried doing whatever I could in terms of my work, in terms of taking care of my mother, in terms of taking care of my family. And that's when, out of nowhere, came uncalled judgments. People were constantly judging every step that I took. They were always comparing my decision with that of my father's, as if I had no right to think for myself. And the worst was yet to come. When I tried to seek help from people, and sometimes sympathy too, all I got was a load of disgust. Yes, you lost your father. So what? Move on. Your father has left you a legacy. What do you have to worry about? You are just trying to find excuses to shy away from work. These are statements that people told me. And believe it or not, these are the same people who were showing sympathy to me earlier. In my mind, I was going like, Abbe, or seriously? And that's when I realized that the comfort or the so-called sympathy, the way it come, it went away. People treated me with a casual apathy that was new to me. They were there on the sidelines. Whenever I did something good, there was no one there to appreciate me. But the moment I faltered, there were comments that hurt. And that's the day the irony of life hit me. That whatever I say or do, I am going to be judged. Whatever I say or do, I am going to be ridiculed. And whatever I say or do, I am going to be mocked at. And if I don't learn to stand up for myself and do what I want to do, then I am never going to be able to live peacefully. And this pattern, I believe, my dear friends, exists in all of our lives. And today, through the power of this stage, I'm going to try and help you understand what happens when you go through these things, hoping that it gives you the power to come out of it. Let's talk about sympathy first. Sympathy is one trait that can be a little tricky to handle, because along with sympathy comes attention. And don't all of us crave attention? Yes. When you're going through a tough time, I'm sure a lot of people must have come and told you that life has been unfair to you. And that's okay. But when you gain a lot of sympathy, your mind starts thinking that it is actually unlucky and that you are a victim. It starts believing that you are a victim of the people around you, of the unjust world, or destiny itself. You start feeling like Kangana Ranaut in this iconic scene. And if you fall deep into this trap of sympathy, you will find yourself buried into your problems. Without even trying to come out of it,
without even taking an effort. In a sense, you go into a world of delusion. Whereas the solution is to actually look at what can be done, seek help from genuine people around you, and come out of it. Simply speaking, Delulu is not the solulu to come out of sympathy. Taking an effort is. And if sympathy doesn't put you down, this next trait surely will. Judgment. Our whole society thrives on this one aspect, judgment. Whenever they need to put you down, or whenever they need you to stop doing something, or whenever they want to just play mind games with you, they will say this one line to you. And I want you to listen to me carefully when I say this line. This is not how it's supposed to work. This is not how you're supposed to live your life. If you don't achieve something, you are called a loser. If you try to change too many things too fast, you are called a know-it-all. If you try to take a break from things you don't want to do, you are called a quitter. If you try to do something that no one has ever done before, you are called a dreamer. If you show a lot of emotions, you are called soft. If you don't believe in someone else's ideals, you are called stubborn. And along with all of these judgments comes comparison. People start comparing you even before you can understand the meaning of that word. Comparisons start right from your toddlerhood between you, your siblings, your friends, and the heartbeat of the society, Sharma ji ka beta. And before even you know it, someone will come and tell you that life is a race. If you don't run fast, you'll be like a broken anda. And every single time that a judgment or a comparison is passed on you, your body and your attitude, your mind goes into a delusion that you are not enough, that you are not in alignment with the world. And that's when you start correcting yourself and go far away from who you want to be. In fact, you start judging yourself. Let me tell you this today. People, whenever they judge you, it's not the reality of who you are or who you have to be. It's the perception through which they look at the world, and that doesn't make him or her right. The day you become aware of this is the day you will stop judging yourself and the day that you will finally be free. And next comes the most poisonous of all traits, disgust. Disgust is that one emotion that can break your heart and make you feel worthless. And it doesn't matter where it comes from, disgust is always hurting. Let me help you understand disgust first. I'm sure all of you have been to at least one wedding in your life. Yes. And whenever you go to a wedding, you will see at least one uncle or aunt sulking in the corner, complaining about everything and telling that they have not been cared for. These are the people who portray disgust. And this disgust is usually very, very personal. Whenever someone disgusts you, it's because of two reasons. Number one is that they are not happy about all the things that you're able to achieve. Or number two, they just don't want you to be happy in your life. And that's why disgust is a little difficult to handle. Because words that come out of that intention always hurt. And because you can't face that disgust, you run away from it. You hide behind the world of social media, distracting yourself so that that hate doesn't get to you. You go into a world of delusion so that you can avoid facing the reality, which is that people will anyways keep telling you what they have to say. But it is your job to still do what you need to do. In fact, you need to use this disgust to propel yourself into doing something better. And that's why Delulu, once again, is not the solulu. Becoming more resilient is. And at last comes apathy. The feeling that the world doesn't care for you and that you shouldn't too. Let me explain apathy to you with a very, very simple example. Let's say that someone has broken up with you. You go around the world telling that it was mutual. Whereas everyone knows who broke up with who. Now, after this happens, at least for some time, you don't feel like loving someone. You feel that hitting your head against that wall is better than loving someone. Yes? And that's exactly what apathy is. Have you ever met someone who's so frustrated in their life that they say, I literally don't care? And they actually don't. Right? They will do whatever they want, sometimes bad things, without a single worry about the consequences, without even thinking of how it affects the people around them. When people treat you with apathy, and especially those people who are very near to you, like your parents, your close relatives, your friends, or your partner, you feel that you shouldn't care too. But I'm sorry to break this to you. Somewhere deep down in a small corner of your heart, you care. Because unless it comes to survival, our natural tendency is to love, care, and help. And you can't let one person's apathy towards you break you. You need to find that corner of your heart that cares and start caring. Even if that means that the other person doesn't respond to you the same way, you have to be the change. Because today, more than ever, we need empathy, love, and respect. And that brings me to the conclusion. Sympathy, judgment, disgust, and apathy. These are 4 traits that can make you feel that you are not even a human being. That you cannot achieve anything you want. That you cannot work on yourself. That you are not you. When you fall into any of these traps, you are devoiding yourself of all the things that you're able to achieve. You look at yourself through the lenses of the world. And with every single trap of sympathy, judgment, disgust, and apathy, you go so far away from yourself that you can't even recognize yourself in the mirror. And I know it's easier to hide behind the world of distractions and delusion than to face the problem for what it is. I stand here to tell you that you are better than this. That you can become whoever you want. That you can live the life that you always dreamed of when you were a child. Before the world broke you, your innocence, your good heart, and your powerful ideals. We as human beings are powerful individuals with powerful minds. And so long as you don't hand over the control of your life to someone else, you do not need to hide behind the curtain of delusion. Believe me when I say this, and I say this from my heart, of course, backed with some logic, the Delulu is not the solulu. Being more aware is. Thank you.